Are you lonesome tonight? Do you miss me tonight? Are you sorry we drifted apart? Does your
Hi guys.
Hey everyone.
Welcome
to Significant Lovers.
Welcome. This is a true love podcast
Yes.
about real relationships.
We investigate the stories of real life relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're doing a big one. This has been one that I think we've wanted to do for a long time, but it was kind of intimidating. And I just decided, okay, it's time to do them. So this is Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac.
Wow.
And in case this is your first episode, I'm Kelly. Kel.
I'm Mel.
And I'm Kate or Caitlin.
Mm-hmm.
And we're cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And sisters. We're related.
Yes.
Yep.
We are related. My mom is sisters with their mom, and we are best friends. We also have another cousin / sister, Shannon, who is not a host on the pod, but we want to give her a shout out.
I hope she'll listen to this.
Mm-hmm. She was on a previous episode, the Julie Berry and Jeff Probst episode. So if you want to hear from her, you can listen to that episode.
She was also a background audience member / hater on our Harry Styles and Louis Tomlinson episode. So you can hear her a little bit on that episode as well.
/ hater.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of our new patrons.
Yay!
There's 3, Lorena, Nikki, and Prissa.
Thank you so much for joining.
Do we have any trivia this episode, Cal?
Don't hate me, but no, I don't.
Actually,
I'll have it next time.
Actually, I have one.
Oh, really?
Yes. Which couple first confirmed their relationship, or it was first confirmed in the media, their relationship, on April 1st, 2004?
2004?
We already did this, didn't we?
Nope.
No, that was the couple that broke up on April 1st. Which couple first confirmed? 2004? I'm going to say Ben Affleck and Jennifer Gardner.
Nope.
Okay, 2004.
And this is a couple we've covered.
Yep.
Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Nope.
Uh-oh.
Good guess.
Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert.
Nope. It was Will and Kate.
Oh my god.
Last week?
Was that in the episode?
It was in the episode. I was listening to it this morning.
But we didn't really acknowledge it.
No, you didn't really acknowledge it. And I was remembering that there was a trivia question about April 1st previously. So I was like, that would be a good one to bring up.
Oh, that's so funny. It must have not meant anything to me. Like, I probably just said April 1st, not even thinking about April Fool's Day.
I would not have gotten that.
That's super recent. Well, yeah, if you guys...
That was the headline where it was like, Prince William finally has a girlfriend.
Oh, that's so funny. Wow, April 1st is significant for a lot of our couples. Like, there have been engagement news on April 1st, breakup news, new couple alerts.
It's a big day.
It's crazy. Yeah.
What's up with that?
What's up with that?
Ooh-wee, what's up with that?
What's that from? SNL?
SNL.
Yeah.
Lindsey Buckingham was on a skit of What's Up With That. So
was he? Okay, connect.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get into the couple because people are dying. People are dying to hear about this couple. This has been one of our most requested episodes, actually. So, guys, you're in for a treat. And Kel, what are the 3 words that you would use to describe them?
The 3 words I would use to describe Stevie and Lindsey would be, okay, this is a phrase, but twin flame.
Okay.
Competitive. And nostalgic. Now, I don't know if you have heard much about the twin flame idea. It's kind of one of those new age hippie concepts, but, you know, it's kind of like soulmate, It's thought that there's two souls cut from the same cloth, that they always will care about each other. But sometimes that flame can burn too bright and can even be kind of toxic.
Scary and big.
Okay. So
yes,
it's both negative and positive at the same time.
It can be. Yes, it can be negative. Okay. And I feel like I've never really thought that about a real life couple, which granted we don't actually know Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, but they kind of remind me of like Chuck and Blair or Lestat and Louis from Interview with the Vampire Show. Big and Carrie. Not as much. It's not as volatile for them, I would say, but kind of like they, even when they're apart, they are obsessed with each other. Even when they hate each other, they are obsessed with each other. And there's always this love deep down, you know what I mean? And I think that's Stevie and Lindsey. I got really obsessed with this couple. Caitlin was saying I always do this, but I feel like there's been a couple that I've researched, like F. Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald, obviously Charles and Camilla, kind of Elizabeth Taylor, like where I just get so in deep. And I've been like listening to Fleetwood Mac nonstop, so I'm really excited. They're definitely far from perfect and have a lot of problems, but I really ship this couple, so I'm excited to get into it. Yeah, so Stevie and Lindsey, in case you don't know who they are, they were one of them is still in Fleetwood Mac, one of them is not. They were from the rock band Fleetwood Mac, probably one of the most iconic bands ever. Early in Fleetwood Mac's existence, the band had a revolving cast of band members. So they actually had 10 albums before Stevie and Lindsey joined the band. But in the period we're talking about, Fleetwood Mac was comprised of Mick Fleetwood, who's on drums, John McVie on bass, his wife Christine McVie on piano and vocals. So all three of them are English. And then there's the Americans, Lindsey Buckingham, lead guitar and vocals, and Stevie Nicks on vocals. Also, in case you don't know, one reason this couple is so famous is because of the album Rumours, which I'm sure you do know some of the songs on it, like Dreams, Go Your Own Way, The Chain, Don't Stop, Never Going Back Again, Secondhand News. Oh my gosh, it's such a good album. And, the legend goes that everybody in the band was breaking up during the making of this album. But you're going to get to hear what was actually happening and what that was like in this episode.
So you're going to dispel the rumors around Rumours.
Yes. Okay, but more than Rumours, too. We're going to talk about before they were in Fleetwood Mac, even the album before Rumours and after Rumours. And so this is going to be part 1 because this story spans like 5 decades and I could not fit it all into this. So next week on Patreon, we're going to continue the story. And I got to say, part 2, I think, is just as, if not more exciting than the Rumours days. I think it's so crazy. Yeah. It is. So definitely stay tuned for that. And if you're not a patron, sign up to hear it. Okay, yeah. My sources for this, just really quick. I mostly use this book, Dreams, The Many Lives of Fleetwood Mac by Mark Blake, the Ledge website, the Buckingham Nicks Tumblr. That's a great source. The book Stevie Nicks Visions, Dreams, and Rumours by Zoe Howe. And I gotta say, this book, so this is like a biography of Stevie Nicks. She chose to focus on the first 2 pages to focus on Stevie and Lindsey. So that just shows how integral that is. Yeah, like she didn't write about just like Stevie's solo career, her childhood, whatever. Nope, she chose to focus on her and Lindsey. So it's a big deal. But who are they?
Who
really
are they?
I need to take a sip of water. I need to calm down.
Yeah, take a breath. I was too excited.
Okay. I'm too excited. I'm nervous. So Stevie Nicks, iconic singer, right? She's this witchy woman, brilliant lyricist. You know her songs Landslide, Edge of 17, Dreams, Rhiannon, Silver Springs. That's Stevie Nicks. She's small. She's 5'1". I don't know why sometimes I like to describe how people look. I don't know, in case people don't know. She has a beautiful little face, I think. Brown eyes, blonde, often permed, wavy curly hair. And she dresses a lot in shawls and lace and long dresses, lots of black. That's why she gets the witchy reputation. But she also talks frequently about things like visions and such. So it goes beyond the outfit. In interviews, Stevie's very matter-of-fact, almost blunt. She seems kind of tough, but cute and sentimental at the same time. Romantic, too. I can kind of see why our mom, Kate, is, like, obsessed with Stevie Nicks. I see some similarities between them. But she's also been called the baby of the band, and that was kind of her role. I don't know, that everyone was, like, protective of her, and she also kind of got away with a lot of things, I would say.
Because of her personality or because of her age also?
I think that her age as well. I mean, she was actually older than Lindsey, but by 1 year. But she was still the baby. She was born Stephanie Lynn Nicks, May 26, 1948, in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, so Stevie is just a nickname.
Dang.
You thought that was, like, on her birth certificate?
I did. I don't know. I thought she was born as Stevie and she owned it, you know?
Yeah. No, she's really Stephanie. Her father was the VP of Greyhound buses, and that caused them to move around a lot.
Really?
So take a drink.
Take a drink.
Yes, and mostly around like the Southwest California, I would say, but they did move a lot, and that's one of the key ingredients to being a star, as we've learned on this podcast.
Even though he worked for Greyhound, I wouldn't expect him and his family to be moving around a lot, I guess.
They literally had to get on Greyhound buses and move around a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was like opening new branches or something like that, you know?
Yeah, because I don't know what a VP does, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. She also has a younger brother who she seems to love very much. Growing up, Stevie loved to perform, dance, and sing from a very young age, and she would always write and had diaries. In high school, she acted very herself. I think she was very cool. She dressed gypsy-like even back then. She said later in life, if you talk to people that went to school with me, they would say, she's a little crazy, she loved music, and she was interesting. I think I was very interesting to everybody. So she's not exactly humble, too. In 1966, her parents moved to San Mateo, California, where Stevie would attend the Menlo Atherton High School in 1966. And she was very well liked there. She was the runner-up for Homecoming Queen her first year there.
Wow.
And one night, her senior year, she went to a Young Life church meeting for students, which was kind of just something to do. Kids would go and sing and play music on a Wednesday night. I feel like I would go to stuff like that at the church. I don't know what, like, mom would just drop us off. Like, it was just some kind of,
really?
I don't know, youth night thing. Like, I don't know. I
don't remember
maybe not senior year,
like
but, like,
that.
Really?
No.
Yeah, I definitely did. Anyway, she was at one of these low-key youth group night things, and she saw a stunning teenage boy with curly hair and intense blue eyes. He was playing guitar and singing California Dreaming, and that was Lindsey Buckingham.
If I didn't know anything about these two people, I would assume that Stevie Nicks is the man and Lindsey Buckingham is the woman. It's so interesting how both their names are, like,
I love
reversed.
I
That's
love
like
it.
in
It's
Friends,
so funny.
when Joey's reading Little Women, and for the longest time he thinks Lori is a girl and Joe is a boy for some reason. I don't know how that went over his head, but
I like the comparison, Lori and Joe.
But yeah, it's
it
funny
is
how that
interesting.
works, or that's how it was.
Yeah, I was talking about this the other day at the party, how it was a Southern thing, I guess, but there used to be a lot of guys' names that now are never really used for men, like Lindsey or Ashley, Leslie.
Really?
Is
Ashley?
one too, I think. Yeah. Because I think they used to be, they were surnames originally, I think, and then they kind of became first names for men, and then they became first names for women. I know, actually, doing all this research now, I, like, love the name Lindsey for a guy.
I think it works.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe also because my boyfriend's name's Charlie. I mean, that's a nickname, but I'm kind of used to, like, the E sound for a guy, so I don't know. I like it.
I think Lindsey works better than Ashley, because I think Ashley's just been so co-opted by,
I guess,
the females or whatever.
But I get Ash, like, Ash is dark. Ash is, you know, a dark thing.
Yeah.
Masculine.
Is that where the name
Leslie?
Ash comes from? Ashley?
I think maybe. I don't know.
Maybe
like
if
from
it was like
Pokemon?
Ashley, like ASHLEE or something. I don't know.
What are you trying to say?
Maybe if it was just spelt differently. I don't know.
What for what? I think that's more feminine.
Masculine. You think?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I don't know.
I think Renee, too. I mean, that's a French name, but I think that used to be more for men.
Oh.
And now is more of a woman's name.
I mean, really, names can be, they don't have to have any gender. I like names to be, if you really like a name your kid that. The only thing is some kids, unfortunately, might get made fun of if their name is a girl's name.
Yeah.
Which
so
sucks.
Lindsey actually had 2 older brothers, Jeff and George, and he said, I don't know why I got called Lindsey. Maybe my mother had some intuition that I was going to be weird.
Maybe they thought they were going to have a girl or something, and then it didn't feel like changing the name?
It was a guy's name. There's also Lindsey Graham.
Oh, yeah.
Who's that?
I forgot that was his name.
Lindsey Graham, a politician.
He's a Republican.
Yeah.
When? Who? Where?
You know him. Isn't he from
He's from...
He's like friends with Trump,
Senator from South Carolina.
That explains why I don't know.
Well, that's another Lindsey.
That's true. The thing is, when I hear the name Lindsey, I pretty much only think of Lindsay Lohan, so...
I know. I actually almost said Lindsay Lohan the other day when I was talking about him.
So does this then count as the second Lindsay we've covered?
Yeah, he does spell it differently. It's S-E-Y, not A-Y.
But does that count then, if it's different spellings?
Yeah, I would say it counts still.
Okay.
Yeah, so Lindsey Adams Buckingham. He's one of the singers. There's 3 singers in Fleetwood Mac. Him, Stevie, and Christine McVie. He's one of the singers and the lead guitarist. He also had a solo career. I would describe him as immensely creative. He's also been described as jittery, always needs to be occupied, sort of a control freak, stubborn, but seems overall optimistic, and he has been called intimidating. And according to Christine McVie, Lindsey's not really close friends with anybody.
Ooh, that's
Ken
a bad quality.
I know. Ken Calais was their sound engineer. He's also the father of Colby Calais, remember?
Oh.
Yeah. Their sound engineer. Yeah, I know. I didn't know she was a Nepo baby. Well, anyway, he described Lindsey Buckingham as extraordinarily talented, extraordinarily annoying.
Jeez.
Oh, He was born October 3rd, 1949 in Palo Alto, California. As I said, he had 2 brothers, Jeff and George. His father ran a coffee roaster called Alta Coffee. I don't think it was hugely successful, just kind of, most cities have their small coffee roasters, so that's what he did. And Lindsey taught himself guitar at age 6. Lindsey has super curly hair. In the 70s, he wore it very long, like a fro, and he had a beard too. So he has all this hair with just his face poking out. But later in the 80s, his curls are shorter and he's clean shaven, and I gotta admit, very attractive. I was getting really attracted to Lindsey Buckingham while recording this. Which, I'm a millennial, I didn't know. I'm sure anyone older listening will be laughing at me, but I didn't really know what he looked like, so.
Yeah, you really only know people as whenever, okay, you know what, I don't even know where I'm going with that.
Well, yeah, he wasn't in our teen magazines growing up, So anyway, as I said, he was at that church event playing the Mamas and the Papas song California Dreaming. When the new girl joined in, Stevie Nicks, she started singing with him and harmonizing with him. And he was like, whoa, who's this? He was actually a junior and she was a senior. And I'm guessing they talked and hung out, but they didn't really reconnect for a while. She graduated and started going to college nearby. Lindsey was still in high school, and he was in a band called Fritz, and they needed a singer at some point, and he remembered Stevie and was like, hey, what about that Stevie girl? And she was still in the area, so they asked her to join, and Stevie joined the band Fritz. And they were in Fritz together for 4 years. And the band actually did pretty well on the local scene. They opened for Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin.
Whoa.
Yeah, they recorded a demo, but it went nowhere, I guess. But Lindsey and Stevie weren't dating yet. Apparently none of the guys in the band were allowed to ask Stevie out. And that was a rule they had. And they both were in relationships too. But she has said, I think there was always something between me and Lindsey. So, they had that demo album they recorded, and it didn't go anywhere, and the producer told them, I think that you two are really talented, and you guys would have more success if you were a duo instead of in this band. I think you should go to LA and be a duo and see how that goes. And so they had to leave their band, and they felt really bad about that, but I think they were just more talented than them or something. So Stevie and Lindsey moved to LA, and then this is like when they started dating. I don't know if it's because now they weren't in the band and they're like, okay, the guys won't get mad at me or something, or
probably
they were kind of pushed together by this producer. I don't know, but this is when they got together. So now they're living together and they're in LA.
And they were roommates.
And they were roommates. And they were writing songs together. I think, so they went to LA. I think it was like one of those confusing things where it didn't really work out, and they came back to the Bay Area, and because I read that they also worked in Lindsey's dad's coffee plant after hours. So, I think that it was one of those confusing timelines where they went for a couple months and came back. But I just thought it was cool that Lindsey said in the coffee plant, he said, we'd drive up there at 7 at night and leave at 3 in the morning, and that's how we ended up with 10 songs, and that's how we fell in love.
Sweet.
Aww.
And Lindsey's dad actually died when he was 21, which is really sad. I know. So then they finally, they moved to LA for real together. Stevie's parents were not happy about this at all, that she was giving up college to go live with a guy, but she was doing it. She wanted to be a star. Lindsey ended up getting mono.
Oh.
Mel's had mono so bad that he couldn't sit up. He didn't even have the strength to strum his guitar.
Yep.
So that's actually how he got so good at fingerpicking. He is a legend for his fingerpicking style. If you know in Never Going Back Again, songs like that. It's because he would just lie there on his bed with his guitar on top of him. And all he could do was move his fingers, and that's how he got so good at it.
Wow.
For months.
Forgive me for being, ignorant, because I've never gotten mono, and I know nothing about it. But since they were together, how did he get mono? And
can't you get it from, sharing drinks from people? But, yeah, how did she not get it? I don't know. What do you know about that, Mel?
Yeah, everyone, by the time you're in your 30s, everyone has been exposed to it, but it's just like COVID. Some people are symptomatic and some people are not. So she might have already been exposed to mono and just had an asymptomatic reaction to it, or she might have had just a cold in the past and that was her version of mono. But yeah, it's really not they say the kissing disease. It's kind of random how you get it. You don't necessarily kiss.
Yeah,
I don't think he was cheating, if that's what you're getting
Okay, no, that's what I was thinking, but all I know about mono is from that one episode of Glee when Finn and Quinn get mono, so that's all I know about it. And so I truly know nothing.
It's really bad. Mel can tell you.
Oh my God. Yeah, when you get it bad, it's the worst. Guys.
But I was just curious, not that he cheated, but how he got it, and then I don't know how she didn't,
She was probably lucky. She probably had antibodies from somewhere. I mean, maybe she had a mild form. That's the thing. I had mono super, super bad when I was 19, and it ruined my whole life.
Yeah, I think that it really does that, and we need to spread awareness.
No, seriously, people trivialize it so much as a young teenager kissing disease thing.
And it's the cold or something.
No, yeah, it is horrible. You will be, if you have it bad, you will be out of commission for over a year. It sucks. But then some people I knew got it and they were fine after a week, and that annoyed me so much because it'd be what's wrong with you? Why are you still sick?
Yeah.
But
I think Lindsey had it really bad, and there was this, I don't know that much about Lindsey before this, but I feel it did really affect him, mentally as well. And during this time, he wrote a song that ends up being a Fleetwood Mac song later called I'm So Afraid. I actually love this song. It's so good. But he's I'll never change. I never will. He says, I'm so afraid of the way I feel. And it's a super dark song. And I don't know, he wrote it during this time. But he also wrote a pretty instrumental song called Stephanie. So that's nice. While they were living in LA, so I guess he gets better and he sits up and he's able to play guitar. Stevie would work as a hostess or a cleaning lady to pay the bills, while Lindsey stayed at home and practiced guitar and wrote songs. And this is after he has mono, so he is better, I think. But it does seem really unfair that one of them, you know, he was just staying at home and like smoking pot and working on guitar, and she was making all the money for them. But I guess they felt like they needed one of them to be good at an instrument and writing the songs. I don't know, but it is unfair because later in life, Stevie's criticized a lot for her lack of musicianship, but she really never got the chance to get super good at guitar because she was making the money while Lindsey was at home.
Feels like they could have taken
guitar,
turns or something.
I know. I don't know.
He could have worked. He could have worked on the weekends, or like
he didn't work. She just paid for everything. Like, I mean, I think he did have an inheritance, but still, like it does seem uneven. And she has said about this: I ironed his jeans and sewed moons and stars on them, and made the house beautiful. I was the cleaning lady.
Okay, there's no reason to iron his jeans.
No.
That's going a little extra for that.
Well, sometimes. Wait, are you just saying you shouldn't iron jeans at all, or she doesn't have to iron his jeans? Yeah, he's home. What the heck? He's home all day.
Also, yeah, like, why does he even need to wear jeans if he's home all day? Who wears jeans at home? Actually, Kelly does. I do.
And I do iron some of my jeans.
I don't even own an iron.
Me neither.
You know, the more loose leg ones, like, they get wrinkly.
I guess, but again, like, who's he trying to impress? If he's just at home, or he's just around. I don't know.
I think Lindsey does care about his appearance. He's not really the type to just be in sweatpants, I think.
Well, you know what? He can learn if he's home all day.
I know.
He can learn how to...
He can
learn to iron his own jeans.
I think that Stevie's point wasn't necessarily that, like, he was a brat. I think she just, like, was devoted to him. Like, she loved him. You know, I think that's just her point with that quote.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to generalize, but I did read one somewhere. Again, I don't want to stereotype and apply gender norms, but actually, like, a lot of women think that if they do a lot for a man, that will make the man loyal to them or make them love them more, you know, like, but almost like treating them the way their mother would. But it's actually the opposite. A man will love you more when he's given the opportunity to do stuff for you, because then he thinks, I've invested all this work, and it just, like, psychologically makes them think, oh, I must, like, I love this person because I've done all these things for them. But if you do a lot of stuff like that, like bend over backwards to basically be their mom, they'll just, like, take it for granted and like won't even really recognize it. Not all men, again, I'm not want to generalize, but just something to keep in mind that, you know, you're no one's, unless it is your child, you're not their mother, and they, I don't know, they won't even notice that, like, their clothes are put away for them.
I think that somewhat did play into their relationship, actually. It's funny you say that because, you know, they would go on to record together a lot, and whenever Lindsey had a bad day in the studio, he would kind of, like, go to Stevie for comfort, kind of as if she was his mom or something, and she would be like, I can't. Sometimes she would agree with whatever criticism the band had, and, like, it was, like, a tough place to be. Like, he wanted her to, like, take care of him, basically, but she was in the band too, so it was just a weird dynamic. But anyway, back to their LA apartment life. Finally, their duo, they were calling themselves Buckingham Nicks. They got a contract with Anthem Records, which was a small independent label that was like an offshoot of a bigger label, and they recorded an album together, and I think it all went fine. But there was one issue, which was the cover. The photographer said it wasn't sexy enough and wanted them both to be topless. And Stevie said, I'm actually quite prudish, so when they suggested they shoot Lindsey and me nude on the cover, I could not have been more terrified. Lindsey was like, oh, come on, this is art. Don't be a child. I thought, who are you? Don't you know me? I did it because I felt like a rat in a trap. But she regretted it. Dang. And then from then on, she told herself she would never let herself feel pressured into doing something like that again. Yeah. So their debut album, Buckingham Nicks, was released September 1973. And yeah, so he's topless. They're both topless. You can't really see anything. Like, her shoulder is kind of covering her chest. But it is kind of shocking that they're just out there topless. People say this album is really good and I really want to hear it, but you can't stream it. It was never made into a CD. You can't buy it on iTunes or anything. It's out there on like some vinyls if you can find it or get it on eBay or something, but it's not like available really today. And that's partly because of Stevie's current feelings for Lindsey and being unwilling to go through the process of publishing it again. So that's why you can't hear it.
Is there something also that is connected to the the topless nature of it also?
Maybe. But okay, here's a weird thing. I'm jumping way ahead. Kind of recently on her Instagram, Stevie posted a picture of it and was like, I mean, how many years ago was that? 40-year anniversary of... It's our anniversary of Buckingham Nicks. Like, she posted it, so I don't think she is that bothered by the cover anymore.
I feel like a lot of older celebrities do that, though. Their Instagram is just like a lot of like throwbacks.
Yeah, maybe somebody else did it. Maybe it wasn't even her.
Yeah. Especially she might be paying someone to.
Yeah, especially if she is. I mean, you're going to get into this, so I don't know the full story. If she is hesitant to re-release it, it would be weird to be like, 40 years celebrating this album that no one can listen to, you know, blah, blah, blah. So it seems like it would probably be like some paid employee who's running her Instagram account.
Yeah,
probably. An anniversary is coming up of one of her albums. We're going to post it to her Instagram or whatever, you know.
I want to hear it, though, because people say it's basically like a Fleetwood Mac album in a way. Maybe I'll buy like a $60 vinyl of it.
$60? That's not as much as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's not that bad. No,
I thought it was going to be like $600.
Okay. The $60 ones are bootleg, so somebody else like recorded it and then pressed it. If you want to get like a real original, I mean, some people say, I was like looking on Reddit, some people say they just found it at record stores. I don't know. I'm going to keep my eyes open. Same for Lana, you know, her early albums are like that too. They're just, some of them are out there. You can get them on eBay for like $70 or something. But anyway, randomly I just have a bullet point here where I said, Lindsey has sort of a high-pitched, kind of Western, I guess, Californian voice. Stevie's voice a little husky. Singing, Lindsey is able to sing very high, almost feminine sometimes, but also low. I don't know, I think their voices sound very interesting together. So even before they joined Fleetwood Mac, Lindsey and Stevie started having issues. Yeah, as I said, there's a lot of pressure being creative and romantic partners simultaneously. And even though they were very devoted to each other, they were also very competitive over whose songs were best and things like that, because they both would write lyrics. Stevie only knew like a couple chords on the guitar, but she would write the melodies and then she would kind of like bring them to Lindsey and he would flesh it out and turn it into more of a song, I guess. In 1974, just to make some money, Lindsey took a job playing guitar in Don Everly's backing group, so he went on tour, and while he was, the keyboard player in that band offered Stevie his lodge in Aspen, Colorado, so she made the 13-hour drive from LA to Aspen just to get some time away from LA and chill out, and I think it just sounded like a cool opportunity. So she's staying at this guy's house in Aspen, and this is when she started writing the song Landslide.
Like by herself?
Yep. I think she like visited a friend that lived there, but yeah, she was just there by herself. And so, you know, when she writes, I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills, that's Aspen.
Wow.
And she was grappling with what to do in life. You know, her and Lindsey had this album, but it was kind of a flop. It didn't go anywhere, and things were shaky with him. And, you know, when she writes, I've been afraid of changing because I've built my life around you. That's about him.
Wow.
I know.
Did you guys see recently when Tom Brady posted the song to his story?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Landslide?
Well, it was Landslide. It was a cover by the Chicks, but he posted it to his story like the day that the news of Giselle being pregnant with another man came out. So funny.
That is so funny.
I know, so sad.
That he would just let the world know that he's like in his feelings.
Yeah,
I know,
like that.
It was like, and it was specifically like he made it on Instagram. You know how like you can put the lyrics to the song too?
Yeah.
It was specifically the lyrics that were, "Can I handle the seasons of my life?" Like I think it might have been the I've been afraid of changing because I've built my life around you line.
Oh my gosh.
The caption also was just Oh my God, he really wanted.
Oh yeah, it was 3 hearts.
Why, what was the caption? Oh, I mean, doesn't that song touch everybody?
I know.
It's so good. And
So
I feel
good.
like time and time again, like all these horrible things they go through just creates beautiful music.
What were you gonna say though?
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know why, like before I knew much about Fleetwood Mac, I thought that she wrote that song later. I don't know.
Me too, because I feel like
I didn't know.
I would think that someone would have more life experience to write that song almost.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I didn't realize that Fleetwood Mac really went back into her, I guess, catalog of songs.
Yeah. She had been worried because Lindsey was away on tour. She was worried about groupies and such that he might cheat on her. But for all of Lindsey's faults that will come up, I don't think he was ever unfaithful.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I was kind of worried about that.
Yeah, but when he returned to Aspen after this tour, for some reason he was in a very bad mood, and I don't think we as a public know why. We don't know, but he was so mad, and he left with the car that she had driven there. So he drove back to LA, and she was just stuck there. But her dad was the VP of Greyhound, so he was very easily able to get her a bus pass. And her parents ended up just getting her a flight back to LA. But it was very dramatic. Like, something happened where he was like, I'm leaving, and he drove back without her. And they're not even in Fleetwood Mac yet. It's already very turbulent.
How did he get to Aspen?
I don't know. I guess a tour bus brought him or something. I have no idea how he got there, but somehow he got there. Well, wait a sec, because the guy in the band lived there. That was the house she was at. So I guess he maybe brought Lindsey back with him.
And then...
Yeah. And that was their car, I think.
Yeah, and then he ditched her there.
Yeah, he left her.
That's awful.
So... I know. So how did they join Fleetwood Mac?
Ooh.
The story goes, because Fleetwood Mac was already a band that existed. They were an English blues band, so kind of different how we think of them today. They were at the studio, I guess, working on trying to make our next record, Sound City Studio. And Mick Fleetwood was there, and he heard them playing, and he was really impressed. And Mick asked Lindsey, just Lindsey, if he would join Fleetwood Mac because they had recently lost their guitarist, Bob Welch. And Lindsey was hesitant to join, actually. He really liked what they had going on in Buckingham Nicks. They had, their album wasn't that successful, but they had a little bit of popularity in Alabama randomly. But Stevie said, "Are you crazy? We need the money." Fleetwood Mac was already a pretty successful band, so Lindsey said, "Sure, I'll join, but you have to take my girlfriend Stevie too." And Mick said yes.
Wow.
Nice.
So Lindsey and Stevie joined the band. I think you could imagine, because Christine McVie was in the band too, and she was one of the singers, and I think you could imagine her feeling maybe a little weird that now there's another female singer. She was kind of like the token girl in the group, but I don't know, apparently she was very gracious and welcoming to Stevie, and they became friends. So they began working on an album together February 1975, and Lindsey and Stevie, I guess, brought a lot of new excitement and chemistry to the band. They had been struggling for a while after losing a bunch of members, and they were really happy that it sounded great. Like, these new members made the band a lot better, they felt. And Stevie and Lindsey came with a bunch of songs already written, like Rhiannon and Landslide and Monday Morning, and they just turned those into Fleetwood Mac songs, basically. So Mick Fleetwood, he was the drummer. He was essentially the band leader. Like, it was his band, essentially. Even though he had just joined, he kind of had to tell Lindsey that, like, it's kind of my band, because Lindsey had so many ideas and opinions about how things should go. So they were already having a little bit of tension.
I was going to say, because I feel like it'd be so awkward to join a band and there's already members there, and then just be like, and here's all the ideas that we have for it, and like, here's these songs we have, and include my girlfriend, and she can be one of the singers, and it's like...
They just, like, took over.
Yeah, if you joined a band, I feel like if that was me, I would really just, like, stick to the sidelines, because that's just kind of the person that I am. Even if they asked my opinion, I'd be like, oh, no, it's, like, your band, I don't know, like, I just joined, like...
No.
I wouldn't even know how long I would need to be in a band before I would even start to voice my opinion.
To be fair to Lindsey, that was his hesitation. Like, he already had a vision. Like, that's why he didn't want to join Fleetwood Mac in a way. Like, he wanted to have control over their songs and such. And yeah, I think they just expected him to be a guitarist, but he really came charging in. I would compare him to like Paul McCartney and the Beatles, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Like him saying like, we should do this, like, well, you do this, like telling people what to do.
But I feel like they needed them more than the other way around.
Yeah.
It's so funny because as time went on, I think of the band as Stevie's band.
And that would be a point of contention.
I know,
sure.
this sucks, but like it wasn't until recently, and sorry to all the older generation people who may be listening, but I didn't know that Fleetwood Mac was named for people in the band.
Yeah. It's Mick Fleetwood and then John McVie. That's where the name came from. But
I had no clue.
I know it's confusing because I think Stevie and Lindsey are the stars of the band.
Are they the two people who are on the cover of the Rumours album?
No, Caitlin asked me that the other day. Actually, no, that is Mick Fleetwood and Stevie.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So these songs that they brought to the table, Rhiannon, Landslide, these ended up on the Fleetwood Mac album, often called the White Album. So we're not at Rumours yet, but
The
this
White
isn't such a
Album?
Well, it's called Fleetwood Mac. It's like self-titled.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's weird. It's just like the Beatles. They have a
I know, I was gonna say, did they
self-titled
just completely
album.
take that from the
I know.
Beatles?
And this one, it looks stylistically kind of similar to Rumours, the cover, but this one has just John and Mick on the cover. It's such a good album. But even then, there were jealousies and dramas starting. Stevie was jealous that Lindsey and Christine had written the song World Turning together, and she is quoted saying, "I had been with Lindsey all these years, and we had never written a song together." I think she means like the lyrics.
Was that by choice?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I think Lindsey and Stevie had always like separately written lyrics and melodies, and then they would like come together and flesh it out. But in this case, Lindsey and Christine like sat down and wrote World Turning together, and she was jealous of that. So this self-titled album was a huge success. It had hits like Monday Morning, Landslide, Say You Love Me, Rhiannon, and the band went on tour. And so, you know, we've heard about drama happening with Lindsey and Stevie, but John and Christine McVie were having issues too, and their marriage actually did not make it through this tour. They were gonna get divorced.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy. I know. Lindsey and Stevie were fighting as well, and Stevie would find refuge with Christine. You know, the two of them would be together, kind of like the girls versus the guys. Mm-hmm. But Lindsey was sort of out on his own socially. He wasn't really buds with the other guys. So he would just be in his hotel room, like, feverishly writing songs and struggling with demons and neuroses, according to the Stevie Nicks book. And Lindsey started to notice that Mick Fleetwood seemed attracted to Stevie. They were always goofing off together, and one day they were all smoking weed together, and Lindsey abruptly turned to Mick and said, "It's you and Stevie, isn't it?" And Mick just stammered, "Well, I don't know what you mean," and it was just never mentioned again.
What?
But that will come back.
It just feels like it's never a good idea to mix relationships with work, especially being a musician. I mean, not like work. Like, I think if you're working an office job, yeah, I mean, sure, there's drawbacks from that, but if you're into somebody and they're into you, go for it. I wouldn't hold back. But like Blake Shetland and Miranda Lambert, that didn't work out. And then this is it's just chaos. Like, you don't want your whole career to fall apart just because, you know, of your relationship. At least for normal people, for the most part. Like, let's say if you are working in an office, you could just find a job somewhere else. But if your whole job is being a singer and being a part of a band, what are you going to do?
I know. I feel like the only thing with that is, like, it's almost unavoidable if you're spending all this time together and you're attracted to each other. Like, I feel like the alternative is you date someone else who's not in the band, and then problems arise because they're jealous that you're spending all this time with someone that you have intense chemistry with, and then, you know, one thing leads to another, and you have one too many glasses of wine, and next thing you know...
It's true.
So if you're in a band, just don't have a romantic partner, I guess, is what the key to success is.
I think it's hard, like Mel was saying. I mean, I actually put this later in my notes, but I was watching a lot of live performances of them, and I sent you guys some clips we're going to watch later. And oh my God, we're almost at an hour. What the heck? We're only on page 5. Playing on stage together, it's almost like being at a party or like a club. Like the music is so emotional. The bass, I mean, John McPhee is amazing at bass. The bass is pulsing, the lights are on you, you're next to each other, you're singing how you feel. Like I can just imagine, how could you deny that? You know what I mean? Like it seems so passionate. Every night you're basically at a party under these lights looking at each other. Like I think it would be very hard to deny in a way. So yeah, this self-titled album was a hit and they went on tour for it. And I almost feel like, to compare it to modern times, like just imagine, let's just pretend like Chappell Roan was a band and, you know, this album was super successful. Imagine if like then she had another album that was like even more of a big deal. I feel like that's what happened with Rumours. Like the self-titled was already really big, but then Rumours happened and it was just crazy. But like they were building, and then this other one comes out. I just have this quote, so we're gonna segue into Rumours now. But when Lindsey Buckingham hears a song from Rumours on the radio, he sometimes listens, but his knee-jerk reaction is to change the station because it dredges up subtext around the songs, and that's not always pleasant. And that's from that Fleetwood Mac book I mentioned earlier. This album is crazy. It has Secondhand News, Dreams, Never Going Back Again, Don't Stop, Go Your Own Way. Those are just the opening 5 songs. Then there's also The Chain, You Make Loving Fun, I Don't Want to Know. Just so good.
You can go your own way.
Go your own way. Yeah, and you know, everyone knows it already, but everybody was breaking up. So John and Christine were getting divorced. Mick Fleetwood and his wife, Jenny Boyd, were splitting up. She is actually the sister of Patty Boyd, who was married to George Harrison and then got with Eric Clapton.
That one.
Yeah. So
feels like there was
her
like some
sister.
kind of like deal with the devil or something for fame that was like, you're gonna be famous and successful, but you're all gonna get divorced and break up and have a terrible romantic relationship time of it, you know?
I know.
It's one or the other, I guess. It was a balance.
So they had a lot of problems during the making of this album. Obviously, everyone was distressed and depressed and breaking down and on drugs. Copious amounts of cocaine. But people will also say that it was problems stemmed also from Mick being a poor leader, not necessarily just because of the breakups, but I mean that had to contribute to it. But Mick, I mean, this was kind of a bad idea. I think he rented a house for all of them outside of Miami to record the album. Like, I don't know, like should you all just be like in the same space constantly all the time?
I know, especially if they're like some of them are going through divorce, some of them are
two of them are married. A married couple that's getting divorced.
I'm sure some of them can, you know, record separately.
Yeah, but later on they did move to San Francisco area. So, you know, Lindsey and Stevie are still together, but they're starting to fight a lot. And there's one story about how they were recording backing vocals for You Make Loving Fun, and they just both exploded for some reason. Nobody remembers why, but Stevie yelled, "Fuck you, asshole!" And Lindsey said he's moving out of their apartment once Rumours was finished. And then they just went right back to singing.
I wonder what was happening.
I think that Lindsey could be kind of critical about the music, and I think they both were very sensitive. I think that he was also jealous sometimes, and Stevie, I think, also was kind of flirting with Mick Fleetwood, and like there was just a lot going on. But Stevie was actually the one who officially ended it with Lindsey. She couldn't really take his moods anymore, and she is the one that broke up with him. And in his own words, he said that he was devastated. I think that even though they fought a ton, he didn't think that they would actually break up, you know? And they had apparently only been together for 4 years, which I don't know how that all fit into 4 years, but it did. And Stevie, you know, she was becoming star of the show, as you said, Mel, which really bothered Lindsey, especially since Stevie only wrote really simple songs, like the melodies, and kind of relied on him to turn them into full songs, even the songs about him. So he was getting really annoyed that, like, she just would be like, "Hey, I have this song I wrote," and then he felt like he was, like, turning it into the hit songs, and then she was getting all the credit for it, and they were very competitive with each other. So they're broken up. Christine and Stevie officially move out of the house, and rented their own apartment to get away from the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lindsey was convinced that Christine was influencing Stevie to break up with him, like as if it was this pact, like let's all break up with the men or something. Even though they had broken up, though, Lindsey was still going over to sleep over sometimes. So they were still together.
Yeah.
Girl, you need to like put your foot down or something.
He was still sleeping over. People were just going crazy, though. Like, they weren't sleeping. They were taking tons of cocaine.
Yeah.
Literally, like, working all night. I just imagine it being, like, a total mess, too. I think it was.
How old are they right now?
I was going to ask that.
Okay, 1976. Stevie was born in 1948. Okay, so she was 28.
Okay.
So he's 27, I guess.
I thought they were going to be still in their early 20s by this point, but...
No.
I was going to give them a pass. I was going to be like, they're still in their early 20s. They're still figuring it out.
28 is early 20s, Kate.
Oh, yeah, Mel's 28. What are you trying to say?
They're ancient.
So I didn't say she wasn't young. I just didn't say she wasn't early 20s.
Yeah. I know. It's kind of cool in a way. I like that they're not super young, but it's also a little strange because it is so over the top and sometimes childish. So we've talked about this a little bit in like the Phoebe Bridgers episode. We were so mystified about like how the heck, like how is she still in a band with her drummer who she used to date and she writes songs about him? Like how does that happen? And I feel like because she's a more recent celebrity, we don't have insight into that. You know, there aren't like biographies written about her, but I feel like you can kind of get a little inside look at what that's like here because you know, Stevie and Lindsey were writing about each other for this album while they were breaking up, and you wonder, like, how the heck did that happen? It wasn't easy, though. It wasn't chill. It wasn't like they just showed up and was like, hey, I have this song. They wanted to be very honest, I think, in their songs for some reason, but they were very afraid to share them, and Lindsey would hide the lyrics from Stevie in case she would object to them. Like the song Secondhand News, which Lindsey wrote for months, it was just an instrumental because he didn't want anybody to hear what the lyrics were. And in the early versions of the lyrics, like in the demos you can hear, he's sort of mumbling them. Like he just doesn't want Stevie to hear what he's actually saying. Which is crazy because like they're in this band together and they have these secrets, you know?
You know she's going to hear it eventually.
I know.
That would be like intoxicating for me. If I'm going through a breakup, like, you know, like normal people are like over analyzing their social media or like their Venmo transactions.
I know.
But we get to like basically hear their diary and like what they're saying about us. I would be waiting on the edge of my seat to hear that.
The better side of it would be able to express your thoughts and be able to have them hear it.
Yeah, but under the guise of like artistic creativity too, like under the guise of like making art rather than like just like bombarding them with like your thoughts and
true like annoying text messages. But I just thought that was really human and cool to hear that I don't know, I think sometimes I think like, how do these stars do this? They just, you know, put their feelings aside, but it sounds like it was very hard, obviously, that he was hiding it. And the lyrics of that song aren't super bad, but I guess they're kind of vulnerable. He says, I know there's nothing to say. Someone has taken my place. And that would refer to Don Henley of the Eagles because Stevie quickly started dating him. And it's kind of funny because he actually has super curly hair too.
I guess she's a
type. Just like Lindsey Buckingham. And then he also in the song says, I've been tossed around enough. I'm just secondhand news. I don't really know what he means by that, to be honest.
He did feel like he was kind of like not that important in the band comparatively to Stevie. Oh, like she's front page news and I'm just like secondhand news. Like I don't really matter.
Yeah.
It's all about her.
Thanks, Kate. That makes sense.
That's what I'm just gathering from what you told me.
No,
it could be more.
No, but I was thinking only like in a relationship way and I couldn't really figure it out. But
I mean, maybe in their relationship he also felt like it was all about her, but that's just my interpretation.
I think that's a good insight. You know, Stevie also wrote Dreams in the fallout of their breakup, which is an amazing song. Mm-hmm. Thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing. Although, I do wonder if she meant player in a different way than we think player. Because I don't really think of Lindsey as a player. So, I don't know.
What would be the other interpretation?
Maybe just like he plays games, like mind games type of thing.
Isn't that what a player is?
Well, I think of a player as more like a guy that, I guess that is part of it, but that he is like non-committal and
like full, like gets with a lot of people.
Yeah. But I don't really, I don't think that's Lindsey. So maybe it was more literally like, someone that plays with your head or something.
Yeah, like she got played.
And then Lindsey also wrote Go Your Own Way. And Stevie hated the line, shacking up, packing up's all you want to do. But she had to sing it and do backup vocals for it. But she hated it because it was like he was accusing her of just wanting to go out and sleep around. There were some songs that Stevie would approach him to work on. And he would say, no, I don't want this on the record. And she would cry and yell, I hate you. So...
Oh my god.
Very dramatic.
Wait, who were the members of the band?
Okay, so it's them two. There's Mick Fleetwood, who is basically it's his band. He's the drummer. There's John McVie, he's the bassist, and Christine McVie, who's piano and also sings.
Okay.
And she also writes songs.
And then that's it?
Yeah.
Why does it matter if Lindsey wants it on the album? Like, why does he get a say over everybody else?
He was like essentially the producer. I don't know why, and I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I don't know if the rest of the band got involved. I know that sometimes Christine McVie, I mean, she's a really cool lady, but sometimes she didn't love Stevie's songs, so maybe she just would agree with Lindsey and say like, no, like I don't know.
Also, but, like I know he was going through his own divorce. I think that's what you said earlier, but poor. Fleetwood, because he just has these two couples that are probably just going through things on the daily, just constantly. I don't know how he dealt with it.
It's
She's
chaos,
just breaking down,
just
crying
drugs.
and screaming.
Yeah.
and he's yelling too, and I don't know how, screaming and crying the other couple was, but...
I know, I don't think they were really. I think...
Okay, that's good at least.
I think John and Christine, at least like... in the studio were a little more composed and just didn't really talk to each other. Another song we have to talk about is Silver Springs. Stevie wrote this song about Lindsey and it was intended to be on the album, but ultimately it was cut because Mick is still kind of in charge because Mick felt like there wasn't room for another ballad and that it was too long. It ended up being a single on a B-side of Go Your Own Way, which was like both Lindsey and Stevie's breakup songs. And Stevie was pissed when she found out that this wasn't going to be on the album. She like threw a fit in the parking lot. Silver Springs is an amazing song, and it was sort of a deep cut for a long time because it was only a single, But it did get its shining moment in 1997, which we'll get to in part 2. And we will look at the lyrics then. So Lindsey said about recording Rumours, he said, I still had to see Stevie every day and never got a chance to get any closure. I still had to try and do the right thing for her and in some ironic sense help her move away. We were also aware that there was this calling, this destiny that we needed to fulfill. Whatever was going on with one's personal life was secondary to this calling. They've talked a lot about feeling like it was destiny or something that they had to be in Fleetwood Mac. And yeah, as I said, like he was upset that Stevie would write these songs about him that were really bare bone. Kind of like I feel like if I wrote a song, like I know a couple chords, like, and then I need help. And he was annoyed that he would like help her with them, and then they would turn into these hits, and they were more popular than quote his songs. So he was starting to get jealous and like resentful about that. The band spent over a year recording this album. It was total chaos, working nocturnal hours and people only working when they felt like it.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, sorry I keep having like all these allusions to things and like references and stuff, but
no, it's cool.
Elton John and his writing partner, whose name?
Bernie Taupin.
Bernie Taupin. Well, Bernie Taupin, he can write lyrics, but he can't really write the instrumental part of it, the melodies. Yeah. He can't do that, so he gives it to Elton, and then Elton
that's
sings
kind of what it's like.
It's kind of the same thing, but it's like, obviously everybody is going to know the person who, people probably are giving her credit for writing the songs, but she's also singing them, and everybody usually knows the singer rather than the person who's like helping out with the musical arrangements or helping out even with the writing. So there's no wonder why he's not going to get full credit for that, and I know that sucks. That shouldn't be how it would be.
I know, but also they are Fleetwood Mac. Like, it's not like they're her single songs or something.
No,
like,
but she is one of the singers,
Yeah, but also, like, what about John McVie? Like, he's just playing bass on everybody's songs. Like, and he's not like crying about not getting attention.
Exactly.
And also, she is writing the lyrics. Like, it's like he's minimizing that. The lyrics are what connect people. I'm not saying if they were produced another way that people would necessarily love them as much as they do, but those are the lines that people quote over and over again. You will never get away with the sound of a woman who loves you. Like,
she's still writing lyrics.
I know. And she does write on her guitar. She's not like as skilled as Lindsey on the guitar, but she does, put the songs together. So yeah, and the reason she's not as good as Lindsey is because she was a hostess and he stayed home all day. So it's not fair.
Yep.
Okay, so February 1977, Rumours was finally released. It, as I said, had Stevie and Mick Fleetwood on the cover, which apparently upset the others, which is understandable. I don't know why only two of them were on the cover.
Did they do the photo shoot without the others, or did they do a photo shoot with everybody and then the photo that got chosen was only them two? Or
I'm not positive, but I think the reason it's just the two of them is for some reason Mick wanted it to match the other album, which just had two people on it.
Only two people. Oh, okay.
I guess.
I see the vision.
It is a really cool cover. Like, I do feel bad the others aren't on it, but it is an iconic cover where she's reaching with that, like, crystal ball, and he has those weird, like, wooden balls hanging between his legs.
What? I feel like I've never noticed.
Oh, you've never noticed that?
No, I never noticed that. Now I feel like I need to look.
That was apparently, like, a real thing that he would wear.
Balls?
Yeah.
Fuck, I have never noticed that before in my entire life.
Me neither.
It's a little cheeky, saucy.
He would actually wear that?
I don't think, like, to the store, but, just when they were...
That's still weird.
Out, like, just being weird.
That is very weird. No offense if anybody out there listening does that, but
they were just being crazy and silly.
I guess so. This was the 70s after all.
Yeah. Anyway, so Rumours, obviously a huge success. It topped the charts in the US, Canada, Australia, UK. It won Best Album 1977 at the Grammys.
Whoa.
Even though I don't care about the Grammys, but it's still cool. And just as it was released, they posed for their unforgettable Rolling Stone cover, which pictures them all in bed together. I don't know if you've seen this cover before,
but I'm looking it up.
I think it's been replicated many times, like the Gossip Girl promos. I remember, I think they were inspired by it, like just having a bunch of people in bed together.
Oh, yeah, X-Files has recreated that before.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like, it's become a trope almost.
It definitely has.
Because the ex-couples didn't want to cuddle together, and this was shot by Annie Leibovitz, the same photographer that did like the John and Yoko cover, where he's naked. So she wanted people to be like cuddling, but the ex-couples didn't want to be together, so they switched pairings. So Lindsey and Christine McVie were holding each other. Stevie and Mick Fleetwood were holding each other. And then poor John McVie is just by himself.
Aww.
And apparently posing for this cover sort of ignited the flame that led to Mick Fleetwood and Stevie Nicks having an affair.
Wait, how's that? But they weren't the ones that were posed together.
Yes, they were. It was Lindsey Buckingham and Christine McVie were holding each other. Stevie Nicks and Mick Fleetwood were cuddling together. Oh. And then poor John McVie was by himself. Oh. And then her and Mick Fleetwood actually started a fling after this.
Makes
my
sense.
God, like they touched each other and they were like, wait, I like this.
Yeah, because I guess the photo shoot took like hours.
He's also like naked, it looks like.
I know. I mean, I don't know if I think...
I mean, he might have, like, something.
I don't think they were naked. I think
but
they had underwear on.
His legs are exposed and his top is exposed.
It's very racy. But oddly, even though this happened apparently after the photo shoot, but they were still there, according to Stevie, her and Lindsey got to talking about how amazing it was that not long ago she had been a waitress, actually a hostess, but she said waitress, and he didn't have a job, but now they were on the cover of Rolling Stone. And she said, and we lay there for 2 hours and making out. Finally, Annie Leibovitz had to tell us to leave, but in one afternoon, she had put me and Lindsey back together and planted the seed for Mick and me.
What? Huh?
Yeah, so, okay, I guess they did the photo shoot. They were, like, cuddling with the different people in the band.
Yeah.
And then I guess afterward, something happened. They were still there. Mm-hmm. Afterward, Lindsey and Stevie were like, this was amazing or something. And then they, like, started making out. I don't know. But Lindsey has a different story about it. He said that they embraced for about 15 minutes. I don't know what that means. And then Mick came over and said people were starting to get uncomfortable.
Maybe they were on drugs.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very weird. She says that that day it started for her and Mick, but also that she made out with Lindsey for 2 hours.
Yeah, there's some...
I don't know.
Not reliable.
And he says it was only 15 minutes, so...
Yeah. Not reliable at all.
Stevie like, is kind of... Yeah, Stevie is an unreliable narrator. Like, even there, how she said, like, waitress, like, she had said she was a hostess because she wasn't good enough to be a waitress. Like, she often changes the story. I think something happened, though, because he did say they embraced for 15 minutes. But was that a hug? Was that making out? I don't know. But Lindsey actually had recently started dating somebody new. And keep in mind, Stevie was dating Don Henley from the Eagles, too.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
at this time.
I forgot about that.
Yes. And and now she has, like, a crush on McFleetwood and making out with Lindsey.
Was this in another episode Stevie talked to somebody and was like, oh, in my day when I was young, was it Kristen Stewart? Who was this? Somebody.
Oh, maybe. Because she loved... Twilight.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
Have you?
It'll be in part 2.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Sounds
like she was defending somebody, saying like...
Yes, she was defending Kristen Stewart. Her
was it Kristen Stewart?
In my day,
like in my day, like I've cheated, but everybody I've been with like has forgiven me or something.
Yeah.
So they're like, there's been overlap, you know. So maybe she was with that guy, but
she's like, it's fine.
Yeah, she's like, I made out with Lindsey at the photo shoot today. And then the Eagles guy was like, it's okay, Stevie. You know, I don't...
Yeah, I guess so.
I love that she loves Twilight.
I know. It's so cute. That'll be in part 2.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Yeah, so Lindsey had recently started dating a woman named Carol Ann Harris. She was actually a studio manager who was around when they were recording Rumours. And she was studying to become a sound engineer, but sadly she dropped that to focus entirely on dating Lindsey.
You scared me. I thought you said, sadly she dropped dead.
No. Not as bad as that, but she gave up her career goals. No. And they dated for several years.
Oh,
but
wow.
Lindsey said in an interview, he said, being in this band fucks up relationships with chicks. Since Stevie, I have found that to be true. I could meet someone that I really like, maybe have a few days to get it together, and that's it. The rest of the time, I'm too into Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, and even though he was with Carol Ann for a long time, she did say that he was like so obsessed with Fleetwood Mac, and it was stressful having Stevie around all the time.
I can imagine.
And even though they just had that really passionate makeout, when they went on tour for Rumours, any warmth between them cooled a lot. Stevie said that they hardly spoke and said we would get on and off the same plane without interacting at all. And even though she was seeing Don Henley and even though he was married to Jenny Boyd, Stevie and Mick Fleetwood struck up a relationship in the final leg of the Rumours tour in New Zealand, Australia, and Japan in December 1977. And this has been described as the craziest time of their lives. Mick and Stevie sneaking away together. You know, there was a lot of drugs and booze and hotels, and it was just really wrong and exciting, I think. Lindsey claimed that he didn't feel betrayed by Mick Fleetwood. He tried to play it cool when he was asked about it by The Independent, because the public found out about it somehow, and he said that he'd been surprised that it hadn't happened yet because Stevie had had several boyfriends in between. And he said that a couple times. Like, I think he was really bitter that Stevie moved on before him and had multiple relationships. Okay, and then in 1978, John McPhee got remarried to a woman named Julie Rubens, and Fleetwood Mac attended the wedding. And this is where the affair between Stevie and Mick really blew up. First of all, Stevie showed up wearing a white dress to the wedding.
Ooh.
Which is a total faux pas.
When Stevie is usually, like, wearing all black.
I know, right?
The one time she wears white, it seems like.
And so Mick's wife was there, and seeing Stevie just made her break down, and she pleaded with Stevie to think of the children, because, her and Mick had kids, and Stevie was trying to defend herself, and then people came to see what was going on, and then Stevie left.
I'm confused. Think of the children because she's wearing white?
No, just that she was there, I guess, and like that I guess they were just acting brazenly open together. I don't know. I guess her presence just really upset her.
I'm just
and I don't know.
Stevie just walking into the reception,
yeah, she's
and
like,
then the bride just breaks down.
I think what happened was, it wasn't the bride, it was Mick's wife. Sorry, there's too many people. I think Stevie showed up. Mick is there with his wife, and his wife knows that something's going on between them, and she like walks away or something and is crying.
Getting a divorce.
And then he was, but I guess it was taking a long time, or I don't know, they were trying to work it out. Like, I don't know. Sorry, I should have clarified that. That they were like still technically together.
Okay, now I get it. Now I get it.
Sorry,
okay.
I should have said that.
And so there's probably not that many, like, yes, the band is together all the time, but she's probably not around Mick's wife that often. So this is probably when, like, they're all together and things are coming to a head. And then the fact that she wore white doesn't really have anything to do with Mick's wife, but she's probably like, and on top of this, you don't respect other women, the fact that you are wearing white to a wedding.
Yeah, I think, and she just looked beautiful, apparently, Stevie, and people were complimenting her, and I think it just really pissed Mick's wife off a lot.
Understandably.
Yeah.
But now it's time for another album.
Perfect
Tusk.
time.
So Lindsey wanted to do something different this time. Punk rock was really coming up in the late 70s. Folk, the kind of music that Lindsey really loved before, like Simon Garfunkel and such, wasn't really as in anymore. It was more punk and more gothic things, like The Cure was coming out. And so he wanted to really push the boundaries and do something different, entirely different from Rumours. And I gotta say, before researching, I didn't really listen to Tusk that much. I knew the song Tusk, but it's so good. I think it's like such an influential album. I mean, when I listen to it, I feel like it sounds like 2010s indie rock. Like, it sounds like Group Love and like MGMT and Edward Sharpe and Magnetic Zeros. You know, those type of bands. Like, it's so cool.
Are there any notable songs on the album?
I would say Tusk. Do you know Tusk?
No.
It's like, don't say that you love me. It's like a crazy song. It kind of sounds like The Circus. Maybe. Yeah. I'd say the other hit is Sarah. That's a Stevie song. It's like, Sarah. I don't know. But it didn't have a ton of hits, and that was a problem, which we'll get to later. And this was a tough time, too. Lindsey was actually diagnosed with epilepsy. He was having seizures, and I kind of coined this, but I think he was having rage attacks. Like, he was just having, like, a lot of angry episodes. And I read that, because, I don't know, I feel like earlier in the story it didn't seem like that happened, and then this started happening, and I was like, that's weird. Like, what are the odds he started having epileptic episodes and then also being really angry? And I read that the medicine he took, one side effect would be being, like, quote, an angry zombie. And I don't know if people still take this medicine. It was the 70s. But he would kind of, like, have these weird rages of being angry. And he also completely changed his look during Tusk. He shaved his beard. He cut his hair shorter. He started wearing eyeliner. So he looked a lot more like gothic and also wearing more like blazers, a lot less hippie, more gearing up for the 80s. The band spent 13 months making Tusk, and they spent over $1 million on that time. And it is a great album, but as I said, they didn't have as many hits, and it's a lot less cohesive. Like, the songs definitely sound like, oh, this is a Stevie song, this is a Christine song, this is a Lindsey song. Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of tell, even in the music, that they were less cohesive than before.
I looked up the album. I don't like that they abandoned the two people on the album cover look.
I know.
It was just odd that it was so important for Rumours. Like, oh, we need two people for it. And then for the next album, they're like, actually, we're completely abandoning that.
Yeah, the cover has like a dog biting someone's foot. It's totally different.
I don't know, though. I think sometimes artists like have to move on a little bit to
you have to change.
Evolve.
I mean, I get it, but if it's been like your thing for multiple albums up to that point, like just keep with it,
I guess. I think Lindsey was afraid of them becoming like a caricature of themselves or something. Like they needed to change. Yeah, so Tusk was released October 1979, and they went on tour right after that, and of course tensions were high. They're always increasing, and they're getting annoyed with each other. This was really bad. They did a show in Auckland, New Zealand, and Lindsey was drunk on whiskey plus his epilepsy medicine, and he, I guess, was super annoyed with Stevie, and he pulled his jacket over his head and started mimicking Stevie's shawl and like dancing around, pretending to be her, and then he lay on the ground under her playing guitar and grinning, and he just stayed there for 3 songs. And then, at one point, he reached out and kicked her.
That's really bad.
Like, laying down
I know.
And kicked up?
No, I think he got up and then kicked her. And after the show, Stevie was running after him, but Christine beat her, and Christine McVie slapped Lindsey on the face and yelled, "Don't ever do something like that to this band ever again." Apparently everybody was freaked out.
Jesus.
In quotes, and Stevie cried.
It's a good thing he's really good at playing the guitar on his back.
That's true. That's true.
But I wonder if it was like his medicine that was making him act out, or that paired with like drugs as well, or what. But
one of the Stevie Nicks book I read kind of drew that conclusion that he shouldn't have been mixing alcohol with his medicine, and that it was like making him just lose all control, basically. And he claims that he doesn't remember doing that, and I don't think it's on video. But he said that he wouldn't doubt that he did that, but he didn't remember. And he said, "You have to understand that this was someone I met when I was 16. I was completely devastated when she took off, and yet trying to rise above it professionally. I produced hits for her. I had to do a lot of things for her I really didn't want to do. If I kicked her on stage..." Sorry, it just sounds ridiculous to say, but if I kicked her on stage, that was something coming through the veneer. There had been a lot of darkness.
Yeah. I bet he did do it, but I don't think it was... Like,
I think so.
Intentional. Like, I don't think if he was completely stone cold sober in the right frame of mind, he would do it.
Still crazy, though. I don't know how we know this, but I guess she shared it with the world. In one of Stevie's diaries from the Tusk tour, she wrote, "One more time, on the plane, Lindsey is his usual asshole self. I'm coming to the conclusion that Lindsey and I are at an end. So sad to see good love go bad." It's crazy because I think she is with Mick and still kind of Don Henley at this time. Or maybe that's over. It just kind of fizzled out with Don Henley. I don't think they had like an official breakup. But it's crazy that she's like just now saying like it's over, you know? But a good love go bad. That's something that I was thinking about and that I asked on the poll. When love turns to hate, I asked our patrons. It's so sad when this happens, you know, when people love each other so much that they will iron little moons and stars on their jeans. And then they hate each other. And how does that happen? And I asked our listeners, I asked, is there anyone you once dated or had feelings for, ... that you now hate/dislike, can't stand? And 69% of you guys said yes.
The vast majority. That's crazy.
I know.
And then 21% said sorta.
I'm actually not surprised.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I honestly was like, duh. I don't know.
I know, yeah.
I thought that was like, but then I can see why some people would have past relationships that maybe were amicable or it was more bittersweet.
Well, hey, there's some people that are like, I'm friends with all my exes, you know?
I don't get those people. What do they say? The opposite of love is indifference. I mean,
yes.
If you love someone, pretty easy to hate them.
Yep. I think we only have 2 comments so far, but I might revisit this next week too. Melanie said, at 35, I can see that any of my exes were just ill-suited for each other or were right for that time but grew apart. Even if there are qualities I dislike, I feel like that's their deal to work out. If you asked me when I was younger, the vitriol might have been there, though. And Lauren said, I would say at this point where I'm in a happy relationship, I harbor almost no feelings of hate towards exes. Do I want to see them again? Absolutely not. Do I hate them? Also no. Some exes absolutely deserve to be hated, but I'm not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like hate is a lot of energy that once you let go of it, like that's when you truly move on. But
yeah,
I feel like
why do you think that happens?
What?
It's like one of those stages of grief where you're really angry at the person. Most likely if you were broken up with and you had dreams of being with that person and you wanted the relationship to work out and they're the one that cut it short, you're angry with them and that will manifest as hate, you know? So yeah, you're gonna hate that person.
Yeah, I also think it's kind of, as Caitlin is saying, an important step to hate the person. I feel like there have been people who I've really been down bad for, and then you got to make that list of every single thing you hate about that person. You got to really like retrain your brain to dislike them so much that you lose that attraction and fondness for them altogether. And I feel like that's when you start to heal, because you're like, wait a minute, I hate them, like I don't even like them anymore, which is so sad. You know, it really makes me think of, I've been afraid of changing because I built my life around you. Like how sad to like abandon that old part of yourself that loved that person. But once you let go of that, like that's when you truly can move on.
Or once you get that, like even just starting that inkling of hate, that's when you have to be like, okay, delete their contact number, block them on all these things, so then you don't go down that route of actually, like once that hate kind of dissipates, you're like, actually it wasn't that bad, maybe I do want to get back with them or something like that, you know?
But in their case they never got that space. They're on tour buses and, you know, planes together, just constantly together. I mean, think about how tough it is to travel with people. You know, imagine having to do that with your ex.
Who you hate.
And I do think, in a way, it's easier or, like, safer or more comfortable to dislike each other, because imagine if they were, like, seriously, like, bleeding heart, still loving each other and having to deal with this. Like, that would be just so painful. Like, I don't even know how they would survive that. I feel like it's almost like protection to dislike each other, you know?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, by the end of the Tusk tour, they had squandered most of their money and not made much of a profit. Mick Fleetwood was fired as band manager, which I bet was a difficult conversation. But Mick also told Lindsey, we're not doing this weird shit again next time. And Lindsey and Stevie fled to make their own solo albums.
Oh my god.
Oh, solo. I thought you meant together. I was going to be like...
No. separate solo albums.
I know. That's what I was like.
Separately, they fled. Metaphorically. They're still in the band, but they're like, okay, we're going to do solo albums.
But is Fleetwood and Stevie still together, or is this kind of like the end of the line for them?
They are, but Stevie then also starts seeing another guy called Paul Fishkin.
It's just young people.
Yeah,
I feel like Stevie definitely, like, monogamy probably isn't for her. I don't know.
I do think Lindsey seems much more monogamous than her. Like, he dates this Carol Ann girl for like so many, like 8 years or something, and they just seem a little different in that way. Okay, I have a little bit more, but I do have to go to the bathroom. Is that okay?
Go piss, girl.
I'm gonna go get water.
Okay.
Hi.
I'm looking at pictures of Fleetwood Mac right now.
I like actually Lindsey's look for the Tusk time.
I feel like Mick Fleetwood is kind of scary looking. Like there's a lot of pictures where his eyes are all bulged.
He reminds me of Rasputin.
Yes. Yeah. Rasputin scares me.
That's the vibe I'm getting.
Wait, he looks so much like him. Hi.
What are you laughing about?
Caitlin just said that Mick Fleetwood reminds her of Rasputin.
I can kind of see that. But, okay, my next thing I was going to say is that, Lindsey has a solo album called Law and Order, and he has this song on it called Trouble. Mm-hmm. And I randomly became obsessed with this song. Mm-hmm. And this is the song that made me think that Lindsey is so hot. And Mick Fleetwood actually looks pretty good in it, too. But I don't think we have time to watch it. This video, he's in the video. I'm not explaining things well. Mick Fleetwood is in the video as well. And yeah, I can see the Rasputin comparison. But
well, Mel said that Matt Fleetwood scared her, and then I said he looks like Rasputin, and she said Rasputin scares her. So then we started laughing about it.
Guys,
I think
he scared me because
reincarnated.
If you look at photos from when they're young, his eyes are like all bulged. Like he looks like he's like purposely trying to look creepy.
Probably.
How tall is he too? He looks like
he's wicked tall.
7 feet tall.
Yeah. He's 6'5".
Okay, that's not as high as I thought, but still.
6'5" is pretty tall. Most people are not taller than that.
It says 6'6" on Wikipedia.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so yeah, as I said, Lindsey had this solo album. I think it did pretty well, but it wasn't like a social reset or anything. It didn't change the world. But not long after his album, Stevie released a solo album, Belladonna. Mm-hmm. This is the one with the song Edge of 17, which is huge.
Yeah. God. Sorry.
What?
I just saw a really creepy photo of Mick Fleetwood.
Yeah, that's probably the one I saw.
What is it called?
I'll copy it and I'll share it.
Oh my God. No, but I've watched interviews with him. I think he's not bad looking. I think he has a pretty good face. He's really tall.
Just Google image his name. You'll see a couple really creepy photos of him.
He's just a goofball. He's just trying to be weird. Like the wooden balls I told you about. Yeah. So on her Belladonna solo album, she worked with Tom Petty a little bit, and she, in an interview, gushed about how great it was working with him, and she compared it to working with Lindsey and how she couldn't write lyrics with Lindsey, and she said, Lindsey and I have so much behind us that it would be difficult to sit down and get into lyrics. As it is, he asks me, who's this one about? What are you talking about in this line? What does this mean? And who could blame him? Although almost anybody would be able to answer Lindsey's first two questions with you and you. Apparently she gave Lindsey a copy of Belladonna signed with like a message to him, but he left it propped against the studio wall for like a month, and then she ended up just taking it back and crossed out the dedication and gave it to somebody else.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Also, I feel bad for whoever got it second.
I know. Yeah, couldn't she have gotten another copy? Why did she have to like reuse the Lindsey one?
I'd be like, thanks, I guess.
In 1981, the band got back together to record their next album, Mirage, in France. And of course, everybody was raging, arguments nearly every night. And it might make you wonder, why did they do it?
I was just about to ask.
Why do they keep doing it? I think it is because they did realize like this was huge, like this band was truly awesome, like the music was amazing, and also the money. I mean, I think it was just too much to walk away from, like such success. I think they all thought about quitting, but they also felt like, how can I quit Fleetwood Mac? This is like the biggest band in the world right now. So I think that's why they kept doing it. But now that they're in the post-MTV world, they have to start making music videos. And in the Mirage album, there's the song Gypsy. And Stevie was annoyed that for the Gypsy video, she had to dance and be kissed and caressed by Lindsey. Even though she said seeing him with another woman made her feel absolutely ill, she didn't want to be near him either. And
could they not just come up with like a different idea for the video?
I know,
why
right?
Did she have to? That's what I don't.
I don't know. I don't know who's in charge of these things, music videos, but that was the idea, and I feel like they really wanted to play it up like, ooh, Lindsey and Stevie, you know? I don't know why she had to. When the album came out, interestingly, the covers for the Mirage Deluxe CDs, there are pictures of Lindsey kissing Stevie's bare shoulder. Even though I think he's still with Carol Ann, I think that her and Mick Fleetwood had kind of fizzled out by now. It's kind of weird. They didn't have like an official like breaking up date, but it was just kind of a transient relationship. Then they had the Mirage tour. Stevie and Lindsey once again were having tension on stage. At one point, Lindsey appeared to intentionally bump into Stevie with his guitar. And here you'll get to see a little bit of the tension. So I sent you guys some clips to play. This is them performing Go Your Own Way. And I know we can't convey this over audio, but I'll just play the song so you guys can hear it. From 2:23 to 2:45, them just staring at each other and the intensity of it.
Eye contact in this clip.
I know, they were like singing to each other.
I could not date Lindsey Buckingham if this was his ex.
I know. It's Stevie Nicks.
Okay, I don't see what you see in Mick Fleetwood too. I'm sorry, Cal.
I'm attracted to Lindsey Buckingham. I'm just saying that, okay, maybe we need to watch the Trouble video.
We can watch it on our own time.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the video, I think it's supposed to be like cheesy. There's a line of guys playing guitar and there's a line of guys playing drums, and Mick is in the front, and the way he's playing, he just looks so confident and like casual and cool, and I just thought he looked good.
I don't think he looks bad or anything. I just think when he
also
flashes
thought
his
Lindsey
eyes
looked
like that, it's
he
scary.
He does have crazy eyes. When he's playing the drums, he looks like he's having the best time ever, and he's like, his eyes are going crazy. It's kind of nice. Okay, so then I have another clip right now. Is them performing The Chain. So this is around 2:30, and this is them looking very intensely at each other while they're angrily singing, "If you don't love me now, you'll never love me again."
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
They just keep showing Christine.
Yeah.
It's like she's like in the middle of it all.
I see what you mean though, what you said earlier about like you're at a club every single night, like the wind is blowing. There's
a lot of emotions. It's powerful. The adrenaline, the music's pumping.
I know.
The sweat.
It could be so charged. I also feel like, okay, I've never seen Fleetwood Mac, sadly. Our mom has seen them many times. And she was showing me her photo album. And Mom also, I gotta say, our mom loves Stevie Nicks so much. And she, back in the day, she went to San Francisco for work. She went to Stevie and Lindsey's high school, went into the library, found their yearbook, and took pictures of it. And she was looking everywhere for these pictures, but she gave me the negatives, so I'm going to get them scanned again with my film guy in town. But that was how obsessed she was. So she, her Twilight is like Fleetwood Mac. She's obsessed.
So cute.
I know. But yeah, she's seen them several times. I'm so jealous. I never have. But I did see this band called In the Valley Below. Do you know the song Peaches? It's like, what are the words? Swimming on the beaches, reaching for the sweetest peaches. Okay, they're like a super indie band, but it is a couple, and I saw them in concert once, and they had that vibe. It seemed like they hated each other. It was so weird because it was known that they were a couple, but like one of them would like try to embrace the other, and then the other would like shun them, and like it was just so strange, and it was actually uncomfortable. Jesus. So I don't know. I feel like that does happen, and I kind of can imagine how that felt like. So, you know, even though all this is going on, out of nowhere, Stevie shocked the world by marrying her best friend's recent widow. So tragically, her best friend Robin died after having a baby boy. I know, it's so sad.
Jesus.
I know. I think she had leukemia.
Oh my God.
And Stevie was just completely distraught, and so was her friend's husband. And Stevie wanted to take care of her friend's son, Matthew, and so her and her friend's husband just decided to get married, and they got married just like out of nowhere.
But were they romantic?
I think they were, but Stevie said that it got really strange. Like, so the guy's name, strangely, his name is Kim Anderson, which, like, what? It's just funny because, again, it's kind of like a feminine name or like traditionally feminine. But it got very strange. Like, he would think that she was Robin. Like, they had a lot of similarities, I guess. So and, like, it turned into, like, she was replacing her. And it really was dark. And they were not ready to make this kind of decision, I don't think.
No, I wonder what even spurned on the decision to even get married.
I think she was so grief-stricken. She would just like to lose her friend that young. I mean, Stevie was 34. I'm guessing her friend was around the same age. Then it quickly turned into a disaster, actually, and it only lasted 3 months, and then they divorced. Yeah, very painful. And Lindsey was described as horrified when he found out, but all of her friends and family were concerned and didn't think it was a good idea. Meanwhile, in 1983, Lindsey had the 50s-esque song Holiday Road for National Lampoon's Vacation, and I feel like that's probably his biggest hit. And I texted you guys, like, I didn't realize that was him. And then we got in like a, not argument, but Caitlin said she didn't know that song. And I was like, yes, you do.
I didn't.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
I do now, but like, I don't know, for some reason, just based on the title, I didn't. And I also said, like, well, I also said it wasn't, like, the quintessential 80s song for me. Like, you said it's one of the first songs you think of when you think of the 80s, but I don't think it's one of them for me,
okay.
at least.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's dramatic, but it is a classic 80s song. 1984, Lindsey split from his longtime girlfriend Carol Ann Harris, and he released a song called Go Insane, which was thought to be about her, but later in life Lindsey said it was about Stevie Nicks. Still on his mind, apparently. Yeah. The band finally reassembled for the first time in 4 years, so this is 1986, to create the album Tango in the Night. This time they mostly recorded at Lindsey Buckingham's house, and he ran a tight ship this time. It ended at 11 p.m., no more crazy all-nighters and things like that. Stevie was actually having frequent nosebleeds and falls and blackouts from her incessant cocaine usage. And she went to a doctor and was told that she could have a brain hemorrhage.
Oh my God.
Or even could die soon if she doesn't cut down on cocaine. So later that year, she attended the Betty Ford Center for Cocaine Addiction. And then she was prescribed Klonopin, which launched an even more difficult drug addiction for her, which is really hard. 1987, Tango in the Night was released. It has this hit song, Little Lies. I don't know if you know it. It's on the radio. It's
I've
like,
definitely heard
tell
it.
me lies,
Yeah.
Tell me sweet little lies.
Yeah, I've
Tell
definitely
me
heard that.
lies. The song Everywhere and Big Love. Stevie was upset that she wasn't represented as much on this album, but Lindsey said in an interview, if you say it took 10 months to a year to make, I'm not exaggerating. We only saw her all of 2 weeks. So I guess she wasn't as much involved in Fleetwood Mac at the time. In the song Big Love music video, Lindsey is mostly the star, and it shows him being romantic with this woman throughout it, while the rest of the band is just kind of dancing and making small appearances, and I just wondered how Stevie felt about that. And shockingly, Lindsey ended up quitting Fleetwood Mac after Tango in the Night because he felt used. Mick and Stevie were on drugs. He said that they were both so out of it, and he was fed up with giving his solo work to it, and he didn't feel appreciated, so he left Fleetwood Mac. But the rest of the band did not want him to go. I mean, he was a super talented songwriter and amazing guitarist, and, he was part of the band. So they had a meeting at Christine McVie's house to try to convince him to stay. And Mick Fleetwood, he has an autobiography, and in it he described this meeting as a showdown. Lindsey said he'd given 12 years of his life to the band, and he couldn't do it all anymore, which upset the rest of the band. They're like, do it all? You don't do everything.
Oh my gosh.
And then Stevie told Lindsey, "You've broken my fucking heart on this." And I guess this really pissed him off, and he tried to leave, but then she stopped him from leaving the room in the doorway, and he pushed her aside and said, "Get out of my way, bitch, and fuck the lot of you." I know. And then Stevie, this is, I think, all according to Mick Fleetwood, so take that what you will. I mean, I don't know if we can believe everything he wrote. Stevie ran after him outside and grabbed him, and he slapped her, and they basically had like a real fight.
Oh my God.
I know. I did not know about this. But it is crazy because, it seemed like Stevie didn't want to see him anymore. She was so done with this. She wanted space from him, and then he tries to quit the band, and she kind of loses it and is like, "No, you can't quit the band." Like, what's up with that? It's interesting, but he did end up leaving the band. He did reunite with them during the promo for Tango in the Night, and then they had the Behind the Mask tour, which Kate, Mom, actually went to. I saw in her photo album pictures from that. And Mom brought a sign to the concert that said, "We miss Lindsey."
What did it say?
Isn't that crazy? Like, we miss Lindsey
or
something. Because he wasn't in the band anymore. And they did replace him with 2 guys, so that does show, I guess, how impactful he was. But, I mean, that's so dramatic. And I do hate to see people physically fighting. I didn't know that was going to happen when I was researching this. But Lindsey did reunite with them because Stevie actually, I think at the end of the Behind the Mask tour, she decided to leave Fleetwood Mac too. She quit the band in 1990, and he came back to do her last shows with Fleetwood Mac.
That's nice.
And so this is Stevie's last shows, December 6th and December 7th, 1990. They performed Landslide together, and I sent this clip to you guys. You can see in the video that before they perform the song, they kiss on the lips, which it's really short, and then Stevie says, it's kind of hard to hear because it's a super grainy video and audio, but she says, "I dedicate this song to Buckingham Nicks because I hope he will find it in his heart to spend some time with me again and maybe make some more music." And they perform, and near the end, she sort of opens her arms as if to hug him, but he just kind of like opens his arms further. It's kind of awkward. It's like, I don't know why. It seemed like he was kind of avoiding hugging her, but then after the song ends, they walk out arm in arm.
And I would like to dedicate it to Buckingham Nicks because I hope that maybe someday he will find it in his heart to spend some time with me again and maybe do some more music.
The actual performance, isn't that, maybe because it's hard to see, it's not, as emotional. I mean, the song itself is emotional, but they're not, there's less eye contact than
Yeah, there
other
is.
songs. But that kiss in the beginning is kind of cheeky, but also
someone commented, "I could watch hundreds and hundreds of versions of this song, live or recorded, cocaine loaded or not, and every single version is so unique and charged with hundreds of different emotions. I can't help but cries. Theirs is the king of love stories, and no song portrays the sadness and death of it more than Landslide."
Well put. Oh, I see it. Aoife O'Neill wedding music.
Yeah, from 15 years
From
ago.
15 years ago.
All the comments are from 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah, someone commented 16 years ago, "No, she was definitely wanting a hug. He was having none of it. I feel bad for both of them.
I don't know. I just think the world might end when these two just stop singing. Oh my God.
So neither of them are in Fleetwood Mac anymore. They went from literally physically fighting each other to kissing on stage.
Wow.
So that's the end of part 1, and part 2 will pick up in the 90s.
Ooh.
Wow.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you, Cal, for
Thank
all
you.
that research. I'm hooked.
I can't believe how much there is.
I can't believe that they're broken up and there's more for part 2.
I know. I feel like if somehow we got into it all, we'd be here all night or something. If this is only half of it.
I know. I could have no, never mind. I couldn't have.
I feel like that's what I like about our podcast is we really do deep dives into these couples, and sometimes that means you have to split up the episode, or else you're worried people are going to be like, well, you left out this, you left out that, and sometimes you do have to skip details, but that's what the show's all about.
Learning more, getting deep into it. I think a lot of people know that dreams or go your own way is about them, but there's a lot of stuff that I feel like isn't talked about as much, so it was fun learning about it. And I guess no teaser. I can't really be too mysterious about it.
Who are we talking about next week?
Next week will be about 2 people in Fleetwood Mac.
That will be our last, not our last Patreon of the year, because we will have another one after that, a special episode, but that will be our last coupled episode of the year.
Yeah, because we're going to have, we're in December. We always take a little break because it gets crazy with Christmas and, everything. But we will still have our regularly programmed Patreon episodes, and the other December Patreon episode will be kind of a fun bonus mystery episode. Yeah,
so basically this is our last free episode of the year. So anyone who's listening who is not a patron, we hope you have a wonderful holiday season. You can totally become a patron if you want a little bit more before next year. But otherwise, I guess we will see you next year. Yeah.
Yeah. Our Patreon could be a little holiday gift you get yourself, or something you gift for someone else, or something you put on your wish list for others to buy you. Just think about it.
There is also a new feature if for some reason you don't want to subscribe. I don't know why, but let's say you only want part 2, that's it. You can buy it and you can have it for yourself. So that's a new feature on there.
But we love you guys so much, and we'll get back together next week.
Is your heart filled with pain? Shall I come back again? Tell